Today we're exploring the centrepiece of many a classic ghost story, the haunted house. Whether you're a believer or a skeptic, they each make for an interesting story. First up we have Leap Castle, located in Kildare, Ireland. Said to be one of the longest continually inhabited castles in Ireland, the castle's original name is Leam O'Bannon, which translates as Leap of the O'Bannons. Apologies if I've butchered that completely. The leap in question refers to the mad decision made by the O'Bannon brothers, members of a local clan who constructed the castle. Whoever survived the leap from the rocks where the castle was due to be built would be victor, leader of their clan, the deciding action in a battle for leadership. Whatever happened to a good old-fashioned arm wrestle? Ultimately, the O'Carroll clan ruled the land, and the O'Bannons were secondary. But clearly the position of Chief O'Bannon was of great importance to the brothers. Moving swiftly on from dubious quests for power to the Red Lady, another Leap Castle legend and ghost of the grounds. Kidnapped by the leading clan, the O'Carrolls, the Red Lady was assaulted and later gave birth whilst held captive. Rejected by the family, the child was murdered, leaving the mother broken-hearted. Legend goes that she used the same dagger on herself that was used on her child. She's been seen by some roaming the castle in her red dress, dagger still in hand. It's possible the Red Lady was held in the oubliette, a modest store in the Bloody Chapel, which was altered by the O'Carrolls to serve as a torture chamber. Whilst many prisoners, hundreds in fact, were forgotten, the Red Lady was not. Following that we have the Amityville House in New York, also known as the Amityville Horror House and location of the Amityville Haunting, which was later the subject of multiple movies. Alas, not something we can comment on, having seen none of them. The story originates in 1974, when several murders were committed within the house. In the middle of the night, young Ronald DeFeo awoke, walked along the hall and shot his parents, and then his 4 siblings. When the property was sold, the new owners lasted 1 month before the hauntings became too much to bear. Despite initially blaming local mob violence, Ronald later confessed under immense police interrogation. This, however, was not the main cause of the haunting, if the various interpretations of the house goings-on are to be believed. The Dutch colonial property, first built in 1927, was built on top of a burial ground, and a previous owner, John Ketchum, just so happened to be a satanic worshipper. Quite the unfortunate combination, but a very strong basis for a horror movie. You can see where this is going. Back to the house sale following the 1974 murders, and the new owners, the Lutz family, asked a priest to bless their new home, perhaps feeling an unease at the home's gruesome history. Following the blessing, a series of disturbing events occurred, too horrifying to relay but which subsequently forced the family to flee, never to return. What those events were is still open for debate. We move across the globe now to New South Wales, Australia, and the Monte Cristo homestead, owned by Christopher William Crawley. Over the years since its construction in 1884, the house has been the unfortunate site of many tragic deaths and subsequent supernatural occurrences, a prime location for many a paranormal investigator. One such supernatural occurrence is Mrs. Crawley's ghost. It is thought that Christopher's wife remains in the house to watch over it, often seen in her blue dress roaming the hallways. Keeping her company in the halls is Elizabeth, one of the housemaids who fell from a balcony. According to witnesses, her screams can be heard echoing throughout the house. That or a draft in an old house, perhaps. The doll room, home to numerous sinister-looking dollies, you know the type, looking at you, Megan, Annabelle, the list goes on, is haunted by a young girl. Although she's never been seen, as reports go, her presence can still be felt in the room. Heading outside, the tragedy continues in the stables, where a young boy burned to death in a horrendous accident. His spirit haunts the building with sounds of hooves and harnesses. Debatably typical sounds you'd expect from a stable. Incidentally, the house and its surroundings are now open to the public, clearly its history only adding to the intrigue. And back to the US and the allegedly haunted Myrtles Plantation, situated in the town of St. Francisville, Louisiana. Reportedly built on an ancient burial ground, yes, another burial ground, the land is haunted by a slave named Chloe, who poisoned the owner's family. The ghost story begins with a man, Clark Woodruff. It was not uncommon for the architect of the plantation, David Bradford, businessman and DA, to take in students who wished to study law. Woodruff was one such student. During his time studying with Bradford, Woodruff met his mentor's daughter, Sarah, and fell in love. The young couple were married in 1817 and went on to have 3 children, and it was while Sarah was pregnant with her 3rd child that the events of the haunting began to unfold. The story goes that Clark had begun a relationship with one of the family's slaves, Chloe. Whilst he had a solid reputation amongst law officials, he also had a reputation as a womanizer. Before too long, though, he tired of Chloe and ended their affair. Fearful of the consequences of the end of their relationship, she began to spy on the family, hoping to understand what the family had planned for her. Would she be sent away into the fields, a horrible task, or remain in the house? Unfortunately for Chloe, she was discovered and promptly punished. One of her ears was cut off. No more eavesdropping. From then on, she would wear a green headscarf to conceal her scar. For reasons unknown, revenge, control, she slipped some poison into a birthday cake that had been prepared for Woodruff's eldest daughter. Within hours of the act, Woodruff's wife and 2 of his 3 children were dead. Fearing punishment and knowing Chloe was behind the poisoning, the other slaves in the house dragged Chloe from her bed and hung her from a tree. The family would never be the same again. In reality, there's no evidence to back up this story. No record of a slave named Chloe, no proof that Woodruff wasn't anything but a loving father and husband. A classic case of a story made bigger and grander over time. You embellish a simple tale and tell it often enough, it becomes fact rather than fiction. If any ghost were to haunt the plantation, it would be that of William Winter, the husband of Sarah Mulford, whose father purchased the plantation from Woodruff in 1834. William was murdered on the front porch of their house, the motive and culprit unknown. And so we end our video in California, at the Winchester Mystery House, home to Sarah Winchester and subject of the 2019 horror movie Winchester, quality unknown. Sarah Winchester was married to a Mr. William Wirt Winchester, whose father was the founder of Winchester Repeating Arms Company, a renowned 19th century firearms company. They had 1 child, a daughter, Annie, who tragically died at a very young age. When William also passed after a battle with tuberculosis, Sarah sought comfort in a medium. Upon supposedly connecting with her late husband, she was instructed to build a house for herself in California, where the spirits of the people killed by Winchester firearms could rest. Taking the regret and guilt at the lives lost and the profit made from the wealthy company upon her shoulders, she purchased the Winchester Mystery House, not its actual name at the time, in 1884. When she died in 1922, it's unknown if her goal was fully realised. The house was magnificent, however. 160 rooms, 2,000 doors, 10,000 windows, 47 stairways, 47 fireplaces, 13 bathrooms, and 6 kitchens. A lifelong undertaking that remains to this day open to the public and the story open to interpretation. As always, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let us know if you visited any of these houses. Have you had your own encounter in an allegedly haunted house? Or do you think they're nothing more than creaky old houses and overactive imaginations? Thanks very much for listening. If you'd like to contact us or check out what we've been up to, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. If you enjoyed the video today, please do like it, subscribe to the channel, and ding the bell to receive notifications about new videos. See you in the next one.